Hi, my name's Peggy Oberthier. I'm a medical intuitive based in Melbourne, Australia. My very special guest today is Linda Lang. She is a renowned spiritual teacher and intuitive healer with decades of experience helping individuals grow through self-discovery, spiritual alignment, and energetic healing. She blends intuition, metaphysics, and ancient wisdom with spiritual and thought-shifting tools to create transformation. Linda is also the host of Exploring the Mystical Side of Life, a podcast focused on spirituality, metaphysics, and mysticism. You're invited to tune in today if you're ready to explore outside the box. Thank you, Linda.
Thank you so much for having me, Peggy.
I'm very excited. Linda's also Canadian and she's from Ottawa, where I grew up. So we've had a bit of a chat before the show. So I would love if you could tell the listeners your incredible story of how you became this. I think the term is emotional alchemist, which isn't in your bio. So how did you get to the spot of becoming an emotional alchemist?
It is a life journey, that's for sure. When I was little, I always had interest in metaphysics, maybe the occult, ghosts, astrology, uh, that side of life. But when I was 22, I was diagnosed with a very rare and aggressive cancer. I was given a year to live unless I, had surgery to have my leg amputated. Chemotherapy, radiation did not work for this type of cancer. That was it. I was told I'd be dead in a year if I didn't have that surgery. And if I did, I had a 50% chance of living for 5 years. I was married. I had a young baby. I didn't smoke. I didn't drink. I didn't live wildly. I looked after myself. I just couldn't understand why that happened to me, what it was. And immediately I kind of reached to spirit and I started having these very maybe I would call them as esoteric experiences or mystical experiences. I had a visitation, I had a reoccurring dream that I interpreted not to have the surgery. So I declined the surgery, walked away from allopathic medicine, healed myself. And that journey led me, all over the place, right? All kinds of trainings and understandings and learnings, and a really deep connection with spirit, with my guides and helpers. And they're the ones who's actually given me the name of emotional alchemist. And part of that is my ability to help people transform emotions and limiting beliefs and patterns, even so much that there's something in my voice. There's like an energy that comes out in the voice without having to speak, light language. It's an energy. Well, someone on my podcast told me they thought it was a sixth chakra or sixth dimension energy that channeled through my voice, that people feel better. They feel more relaxed. They feel calmer. And it just shifts them in ways that, they maybe don't understand, or they don't even have to understand, because it's not about unraveling everything in the past to try and understand it. It really isn't. It's just about letting it go and making different choices.
Yeah, wow. Amazing. I can tell you your voice is very mesmerizing. I listened to a whole bunch of your interviews, and yeah, I can hear this incredible resonance.
Well, I have a group. I have a membership group, and we meet every week, and it's so fascinating because I'm not hypnotizing them. I am, trained in hypnotherapy, but I'm not doing that. And they're like, I've had this experience, but I feel like you've hypnotized me. No, I didn't. So interesting.
Yeah, it's this beautiful gift that you have with your voice. So you have a lot of training. I have been, when I went down this podcast rabbit hole to hear some of your previous, and I went back 10 years where you were speaking to Gary Craig from EFT. I was, yeah, blown away by that, first of all, because I'm trained in EFT as well. But tell me a little bit about some of the trainings that you've done, because to become an emotional alchemist, you have these beautiful gifts, obviously, naturally, and then, but you've done so much training. You've done.
I did. I have a curious nature. I'm always looking to expand. So when I work with people, I actually kind of tune in to see what mix of modalities that I use, or whether it's just a direct energy channel or however it is, because different things do work for different people better. My guide said that any of those modalities that I've studied could um, do everything I wanted. But you have to go really deep into that rabbit hole, and they're not necessarily going to help everyone, which is fine. I'm a little older now, so I'm not here to help everyone, right?
Mm.
It's really a resonance thing. But where I started probably was with Reiki, and it just didn't fulfill me like I wanted to be fulfilled. And it was fine and lovely and relaxing, but it just wasn't enough for me at that time. So I branched out, took other trainings, and I love the mind stuff to help us get out of the thinking, because our thinking, it really messes us up, right? When we're caught in ruminating patterns and negative thoughts, it's so hard to get out sometimes. And yet we can switch it just
Mhm.
like that. We can, when we shift the energy of it. So I kind of went that way for a long time. I had done a little bit of work with access bars. I had actually a kind of a negative experience with it. I
Mm.
was doing a lot of sessions. I did like 40 sessions in a month. And all of a sudden, I felt my grounding cord um, shift from my root chakra to my second chakra, and I could not ground. I had to run upstairs and grab my grounding mat to step on to finish a session with someone. And it was interesting in that month how not my personality per se, but maybe my emotions and my outlook and how I worked with people and how I wanted to work with people totally shifted in that month. And as soon as that grounding cord shifted, and I did a little bit of exploration that further up the ladder in that training, there is some training about manipulating people. So I was, totally got out of that, went to a healer. He found all these hooks in my brain that I'd been rewired, put me back together. And I knew instantly then that I needed to go to Hawaii and take the Huna training, because I had been probably, I don't know, maybe 4 years earlier to a weekend workshop. And I totally loved it. But I knew it was a way of life, not just a workshop that you would take, or a healing modality. It's a way of looking at life, of connecting with spirit, with each other, opening your heart with aloha. And so that started my journeys, 5 trips to Hawaii, and some pretty interesting, very interesting experiences with that. We all have a journey, we all have a story. We're all fascinating. Even if you think you're the most boring person in the world, oh my God, you are so interesting. So interesting.
I love it. So I'd love to explore a little bit more about the Huna training and the concept of forgiveness, because what I see a lot in my clients, and I want to also explore some of the things with you, your experience with emotions as well. But using this Huna training, how do you see that in terms of the concept of forgiveness and the importance of forgiveness in people releasing their emotions that are stuck on the body?
That's a really good question. That's a really good question, actually. So we have a process. The Huna training I took is very shamanic in nature. We have energy symbols. I think there's 36 of them. We have a lot of processes. So we do a Ho'oponopono, different than Joe Vitale teaches. We don't say the typical four statements I love you, thank you, please forgive me, I'm sorry. We were taught in the original Hawaiian language, there was no word for sorry because they understood that forgiveness goes two ways. If you say, I'm sorry, that's a one-way energy flow. But if you say, please forgive me, it's to you and back, right? Very, very intelligent. The shamans, the kahunas from Hawaii really understood energy. And I have ice cold goosebumps
Me too.
just thinking about it. It's just totally amazing. So we do have a shamanic process to release, and it also can remove, there's a technique that we use in it to remove entities or attachments, demons, that kind of thing, right? We use that process to do it. And we have another process where we actually go in and pull out emotions from the energy body, the physical body, the unconscious. And it's quick. It's quick. It's really quick. You have to be willing. I mean, you have to be willing. You have to give permission for your unconscious mind to let it go because it's holding on to this stuff because you're very important to it, and its job is to keep you alive and keep you healthy and safe, right? So it's holding it for you, but it's not helping you. Eventually, you'll have some physical ailments because of it. If not, behavior problems, emotional problems, relationship problems, money problems, whatever. It'll show up some way in your life if you don't release it. So it's really important. But I want to step just a little bit higher than that because that's the ancient way of doing it. Many, many years after I went, received the ability to channel an energy called the Triune Heart Flame. It's a very loving, very compassionate energy. Just like me thinking about it, like my eyes are starting to water. It's just the most beautiful energy. And what my guides have said that you get to a level where you don't have to forgive because you're not holding any negative perception or energy. You just love that person. You understand that, they were naive. They didn't understand. They did something, like a kid, right? And you're the grandma. You don't stop loving them because they did something bad, you still love them. So it's a different way of looking at it. Most humans aren't ready to bypass forgiveness to get to that level of compassion. But if you do your work, you'll get there, right? You will get there. Most of the time when we have forgiveness work, we also have to forgive ourselves. I will say that, right?
Yeah. I feel like that's one of the hardest things for people to the last step because they have a lot of my clients have this beautiful heart, totally empathic. They will understand and forgive people's, faults and actions, but then they beat themselves up for not allowing that to happen. So I wanted to ask I want to go back just one step to the demons and the entities because I know a lot of our audience, so there's a lot of questions that come up about that. So when this practice of removing them, talk to me a little bit why you think they end up in those people and how can people protect themselves from entities and attachments and
Well, the best protection is having a high vibration,
yeah.
right? And that's absolutely the best because it's like attracts like energy, right? So if you are a heavy drinker, do a lot of drugs, head out to seedy bars, let's say, uh, there's energies there. Hang around with negative people, like really negative people. There's energies in that energy field that can actually draw these, you might call them unconscious thought forms, or you might call them disembodied spirits. It's a wide range of energetic possibilities that can get stuck on you, right? And for anyone who doesn't think that that's a thing, I'm confident everybody has walked into a room where somebody has had a fight and they could feel the tension in the air, even though nothing was happening in that moment. There was energy there. And that kind of energy can stick onto the body. So you need to keep your vibration up. And the other thing I'd say about that is not with rose-colored glasses, because I know I've had some clients who seem very upbeat. They're very happy. They try to put a good light on things and have managed to pick up some entities stuck on them. That it's actually better to be honest with yourself, right? Clear that energy, let it go, release it, feel it, let it go, and then naturally have a high vibration. And certainly don't spend, all your time with horror films and alcohol and drugs and things that can energetically shift your natural vibration.
Yeah, I think it's really important. And I can see sometimes the entities are really stuck to places where there's the trauma is stored. That's what so once we remove the entity, then we have to kind of go into that emotional trauma that might be stored in whatever part of the body. Do
Yeah.
you have that same experience?
Oh yeah. Yes, for sure. For sure. The other thing I wanted to say is that they can stick on all kinds of things like furniture. They can be just about anywhere. I mean, the world that we live in has so much energy all over the place that we can't feel, but it can influence us. Absolutely. Absolutely. It's so important that we do our work not only for ourselves, we'll be so much happier and we'll be more on our path and we'll be able to manifest better, but for the people around us that we love, makes a huge difference for them too.
Absolutely, I agree. So what do you think, why do you think some people are able to, I guess, heal or, heal is like an ongoing process, I suppose, in like human evolution in our lifetime. It's, taking all the layers off the onion. But what do you think might stop people from reaching their full potential? And in your experience, your vast experience, working with emotions and entities and what some people just get them back and they just keep coming back. And what do you think is the key thing that keeps people stuck or in pain or what is in your experience? What do you think the
Well, it often needs layers, and a lot of people maybe aren't as committed or as diligent. For some people, they're not really willing to let it go. Somebody did something so atrocious in their mind to them that they can't let that go. And if you can't forgive it or rise above and have compassion about it and just love for it, then it does affect your body, absolutely. But for some people, it's their path in this lifetime too. I think that's also really important that, sometimes we're here to have these experiences for our soul's growth. So please don't beat yourself up if you're trying to let go of something and it seems so difficult. Keep at it. Keep trying. Keep trying. Like I've known people who've had horrific child abuse or rape experiences that's taken them, 30 years to let go of, but they did it. But they did it. So that's less baggage that they carry with them the rest of their life and into the next life as well, right? So, inability to forgive and and let go. A lot of people put those rose-colored glasses on and think they've done their work. I can't tell you how many clients have said, I've already worked on that. And I'm like, I'm sorry, this is what's coming up, right? Um, and and to sometimes the little things that we don't maybe pay much attention to, we don't know what it is, can make a huge difference for us. So being really diligent, self-aware, how you feel, your vibration, and that last comment I made about for some people, it's their path.
Yeah, I see that too. I see that it's just the challenges that they've chosen, and maybe in this lifetime they're not going to be able to get through some of that stuff. Yeah, it's quite tricky. It's quite tricky because yeah, they're not really willing to let it go, but it's really stuck in the body, isn't it? It's really stuck in the body. And what do you see like I love, the energy work for me is so powerful in helping transmute those emotions and actually get them out of the body. And so there's a limitation to talk therapy in my head. I think it's important for them to have that intellectual understanding. You've done
Sometimes, I'm going to say
you
sometimes,
yeah,
because sometimes that intellectual understanding is a trap for them. And they keep telling themselves that story and dissecting it and wearing it like a badge, and they're just feeding it.
I completely agree. Yeah. So it's like and it's one of the reasons when, when I'm tuning into people, I don't necessarily give them the details of the past life because I used to, I get that, but then they just, it keeps them in that victim mode or that, you see, that's why I'm like this because, I got killed in a past life, so yeah. So
Get
how,
over it. Yeah.
exactly. So tell me, how do you help people get out of their story?
Yeah, it depends on the person, right? Because people respond to different things. Some people just really need you to sit and listen. And just that is super healing. So, talk therapy can work for some people. I never think it's enough though. So, I always like to add a little bit of energy. But really often, if you tap into the energy of things and if you come to it from an abstract perspective, it's the language of the unconscious, working with symbols, working with images, feelings, sensations, colors. It's a way to kind of bypass the conscious mind, get into the subconscious, unconscious, and and that has direct connection with the higher self. So, how can you go wrong?
Yeah. Now, you've spoken about your guides, and there's a lot of people who are at the start of their spiritual journey, they're waiting for some kind of message from guides. They want to hear their guides come in, they want to hear a message. So you're quite clear audience, that's correct. So you hear a lot of things.
I hear a lot
Who
of things. I'll see things. And sometimes I get like these downloads of direct knowing as well.
and how did you and you had these guides from a very young age. So what are your sort of spiritual practices for you to help you connect with guides and connect to the information and the knowings? What are some of the, there's a lot of people in this that watch the show that are trying to get their gifts activated. They want to go into the spiritual work. And so having a very experienced person like yourself. So what are some of your practices to help you, connect and
I'm going to say my biggest tip is to not try so hard because the harder you try, it's like you're doing it from lack or not good enough. And so it keeps you in that energy. Most of my like really big experiences or insights have come either when I was like, you know, I really needed it, like through my cancer experience. I wasn't praying for clairaudience or to have a dream, but I mean, it just came because my soul needed it. Or it comes, when I'm doing the dishes or I'm driving or like not doing anything that might necessarily one would consider to spark something like that. For me, I would say, spend a few minutes every day and not even necessarily like in rigid meditation, right? Because then it can become a chore, but tune in, feel your heart space, feel what you feel like inside, pay attention to all the little things, how your body reacts. I mean, that to me, the first thing to tap into is your body's sensations because your unconscious mind and subconscious is where you're getting a lot of these intuitive hits. And your body is like radar, right? It's like radar. And maybe you're getting the hairs on the back of your neck standing up and you're totally ignoring that. Or maybe you want to have this piece of cake and all of a sudden your stomach feels a little nauseous. That's a sign that your body is saying, no, no, not today, right? So start paying attention. And if you wanted to develop communication with your guides, what I would do would be to sit with a journal and a pen and do a little bit of journaling every day to connect. Make sure it's longhand writing and just let it flow. Write a page every day. It won't be long before wisdom comes through. We expect to have like the big bells and whistles and like the booming voice and the visions. And I guarantee you that your guides are already working with you, but so subtly that you don't even necessarily know. Like, you're leaving the house and you get this little, oh, I should take this. And you totally ignore it. And you go out and you're like, oh, if I only had that thing that I should have taken, you know, that was them.
I love that advice. That's amazing. I love it. So now there's another amazing gift that you have, which I would love for you to talk a little bit more about this, what you do with water, because it's incredible.
It is. It's totally amazing. Every day is amazing for me because it's like it's so miraculous and so magical to me, right? It's magical to me, and I've been doing this since 2015. So it was well, it was 2015. I had magically won two things. One was a reading from a reader in um, Arizona in Sedona, and one was a spirit guide portrait from a woman in Australia. Beautiful spiritual artist. I love her to bits. So she drew a picture of a spirit guide with me, and one side was male and one side was female. Looked an awful lot like me, actually, and had all this energy coming in and all this energy going out. And I thought, oh, that's kind of interesting. And then I get this emailed reading from this psychic in Sedona who tells me I carry the Triune Heart Flame and the Diamond Ray energy. And I started to work with the Diamond Ray energy on myself first, and then on a client first, and then more clients. And it was so fast, Peggy. It was like Reiki on steroids. Like the Reiki masters that came would be like, whoa, that's so fast. It was just, little short bursts, maybe 20 seconds of channeling. And then I'd have to take a break because that person couldn't handle more than that 20 seconds at that time. And then maybe do another 20 seconds. In an hour and a half, my first person had three very short channels. So I'm working away. She drives home, starts falling asleep at the wheel, and she just pulled over and said, what's happening? And she heard her guide show her a picture of a movie film, really wheeling, uh, spinning really fast. And they said, this is how we're trying to process what Linda just did with you. So she went home and called me and said, this is what I want from now on, right? It was pretty funny. But about 6 months after I started working with the energy, I was in my kitchen. I heard this voice, this big booming voice, which I don't normally hear, a big booming voice. It said, why don't you remolecularize water. And I'm like, who said that? There's no such word. And I don't know how to do that. And then I walked over to the counter, did it to my glass of water, and I was like, wow, it was amazing. And so it would be wonderful to do that for your listeners today. So I would encourage them to go grab some water. And a lot of people tell me that it changes the texture, that it makes it very smooth and very silky, like alkaline water. If you are drinking alkaline water, you might not notice. If you're not aware of subtle energy, you might not notice. What I would say is come back to this part of the call, bring a coffee or a cup of tea, and it will completely transform it. Takes the bitterness away. It's just so delicious. So delicious.
I love it. Okay, so what does it involve?
So it really just has me tapping into the diamond ray energy, which happened to be that energy that was flowing into my heart and out of my heart in the psychic artist portrait. So it was fascinating that she picked that up. It was amazing. It doesn't take long, 20, 30 seconds maybe. Doesn't take long at all. Is there a particular focus that you would like me to
Uh,
put in the
oh,
water?
for my water?
Well, for everybody's
Oh, for
water,
everybody.
right?
Oh, I see. I guess, yeah, just to make it as nourishing as possible. I don't know if that's even a thing. What do people normally ask for?
I normally don't give them choice. I normally tell them.
Okay, you just tell us then.
Yeah, okay. Because what I feel like an open heart chakra but the energy is constricted in the throat, and there's some pressure on the head. So I just want to open this pathway from the mind into the heart, because the heart can handle more energy than it's getting, right? So let's do that. So just kind of pay attention, maybe how you're feeling in those areas. And I would ask you to have a taste of your water before I start. Pay attention to everything, how it feels, the taste, the flavor, temperature. Everybody experiences it different. So you got it? Okay, I'm going to just close my eyes and be quiet for a moment. And the other thing I would say about this energy is that it is intelligent. So you will get what you need in this moment. I have had people that have had a water healing together, tasted each other's water, and they knew exactly which glass was for them and which one wasn't. The glass that wasn't for them did not taste good to them. It's really interesting.
That's incredible.
And then, yeah, so I feel a little bit of stuff going on at the occipital, the back of the head, through the neck. It's like a band of restriction around the chest so the diaphragm can't fully expand with the breath. Just want to clear all that out. Work on that throat chakra. Bit of sadness in the eyes of it's like a tear is not cried. So that energy has been held in the eyes. And finally into the third eye. And up and out. All right. We're good. We're good. How do you feel?
I feel wonderful.
Wonderful.
To taste my
Wonderful.
water.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, it definitely tastes different.
It's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like it's so magical to me that, I'm half a world away from you.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And it works in real time and it works on the replay too. So it's amazing.
It feels like it has like a quality to it. I don't know, it sounds very strange. I do have electrolytes in it, so the flavor is a little bit
Okay, some people bring pop, it's
uh,
crazy. Yeah.
wow. Yeah.
Yeah. And so
Yeah.
it's
Definitely feel
so
expanded in the
interesting.
back of my back. Yeah, no, that's absolutely incredible. So you help people activate their water. Can they then do it themselves? How does it work?
Yeah. I haven't figured out how to teach other people because I'm
Ah,
tapping into the energy flow that flows to me. Like it flows
ah,
into me. I
right.
had an Indian palm leaf reading done, and it was actually in my palm leaf that I have like a lightning rod that can pull in all this like super intense uh, high vibration energy that most systems couldn't couldn't handle, right? They're not wired to handle it. And for some odd reason, I have this lightning rod that pulls it in and transforms energy to make it usable for people. So it's not like it has a symbol that you can draw and call it. So I have not figured out how I could teach other people,
Yeah.
like, because they would have to tap into my energy system. And, I've known people who have blown molars because they've channeled too high of energy. So I just don't want to create any problems for anyone, right? We have enough problems here. We don't need any more, right?
Wow. So what are your spiritual hygiene practices then to help you cope with these big energies and protect your own?
I don't have to cope at all. Like, honestly,
Wow.
it's like nothing for me. It's like, it's so interesting. Um, and, maybe I had to learn something for many, many lifetimes to get to this place. I have no idea. But I don't have to really do anything like that. But every day I do channel some energy to myself of the diamond ray or the triune heart plane. But usually the diamond ray, unless I'm, having an issue with someone, they might get a little of the triune heart plane. But typically the diamond ray, just, a few seconds to kind of, just check and make sure the energy feels good, right?
Wow. Absolutely incredible. It's just amazing. I'm in awe. I normally channel questions, but I think the energy has just gone. I'm in awe of your abilities. It's just incredible.
We are
So,
all incredible, Peggy. I want to say that, right? I really, really do. Like, I mean, I'm always amazed at everyone who comes to see me, even the ones that I can see how they're stuck and why they're stuck. It's so fascinating to me that they choose that. Yeah. It's so, wow, it's so interesting. We're all so much more powerful than we know, really.
yeah, incredible. And what are some of the offerings that you have with clients and some of the experiences that you've had to help people shift?
Wow. Well, talking of demons, I had a really interesting young fellow with a demon, very religious family, and the mom went to the priest, and the priest told told her to take him to the like mental institute that he couldn't help. And fortunate for them, their aunt was a client of mine and said, "I bet you Linda can help." And so they brought him, and sure enough, we pulled out that demon. He caught it on video. Actually, he was twitching and just
Oh,
all kinds of just incredible, like exorcist kind of stuff, right? And what's really interesting is he had to come back because he got more attachments, not as severe, but he got more. So you have to pay attention to your energy. You have to, you just have to. And his life is so much better now. No medication, no, uh, psychiatry or nothing down that field. He is a chef. He he works, high profile chef. It's beautiful. His life is good. And it does make you wonder how many people, that have mental health issues maybe have attachments, right? It's quite possible. Quite
Yeah.
possible. The other story I'd probably tell is because this is also a really wonderful story. I had this beautiful woman. She was 82 when she came to see me, and she was waiting for a double hip replacement. I tell this story a lot because it's so amazing. Catholic, deacon in her church, right? I'm so far out of her box, but she's so desperate because she's in so much pain and she can't sleep more than 2 hours a night. And they're telling her it's going to be months before she can get the surgery. And so she comes and we have a session. And it turns out that her pain had to do with the loss of her only child was a son. He was a fireman. He drowned saving someone. And she was still in such deep, deep grief. 15 years later, if she heard his name or thought of him, she just broke down, like just broke down, absolutely bawling. And I had to do a little talk therapy to so she could allow herself to let go of that. But we pulled it out. She went home, slept for 10 hours, got up, had something to eat, went back to sleep for another 4 hours. And she was totally amazed. I think she came back maybe 2 or 3 times after that and did some more clearing. She never needed the hip replacement surgery. She never had it. It's amazing.
It's so incredible how the body just holds on to these emotions in their joints. So many
Yeah.
surgeries could be avoided. I'm thinking of your psychiatry story as well. So many people have these attachments, and it's so sad to think that, yeah,
Yeah, I mean, it is. And yet, again, we all have our path and we're
yeah,
all
that's right.
here for our
Yeah.
own learning experience, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's the things that we chose. Yeah, we signed up for all those things, isn't it? Yeah. It's
Mhm.
so you help people remove things. What are some of the other I know you had this something about the dirty dozen. Is that you still
Oh, yeah.
I
Because
love that offering.
I have I have a really unique way of releasing beliefs. It's a shamanic way where we actually pull the belief out and then put a new belief in, right? So a supported belief. So there's no void. Your energy system does not like a void. Something will come in, right? Something will come in. So I took 12 of really common core beliefs, and it was so fascinating doing it with the participants and how much more energetically aware they became of of how that belief was in their system and then what it felt like not to have that belief and then what it felt like to have a positive supportive belief, right? So it's not just emotions we work with, it's with beliefs too. And that my probably my favorite work is the spiritual work, the spiritual path, like clearing the path and helping people get on it. And that's all part and parcel of it. You cannot take that old baggage with you and rise to these higher levels. It just doesn't belong there.
Incredible. Incredible. And what have you got coming up for audience to sign up for, or what are your offerings currently?
Well, currently I'm doing my membership group, which I absolutely love. We're working right now with light rays, and we're exploring and experiencing different high vibration energies. So it's always very amazing. I don't currently have any group programs going on. I do sometimes, but in Canada it's our summer, so
Yeah.
we like to play. We like to play a little bit, and aside from that. it's just my one-on-one sessions at the moment. I do have a lot of meditations on the Inside Timer app, so people could kind of look for me on there and listen to this healing energy of my voice. I also write for medium.com. But even I'm even taking a little bit of break from that because it is our summertime, right? Yeah, the podcast will carry on over the summer, though. I have some amazing people coming up.
Fantastic. And so you'll take a break for a couple of months. You've recorded enough to just sit down because I know people don't understand. There's 2 nice months of the year, maybe 2.5. Sometimes September gets a bit warm too, but you've really just got to relish in that beautiful weather in Canada
Yeah,
when it's there. Yeah, it's good.
exactly.
It's good for the soul, isn't it? To help regenerate and
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you really do need to look after yourself too. You can't always give. You need to recharge your own batteries.
absolutely. Yeah, that's fantastic advice. Tell that to all my clients, and it's something I have to work on. You know, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Was there anything else that I've missed you wanted to share with the audience that I could talk to you for hours, Linda, because I actually had one question before, if you don't mind. So, you've been doing this for 35 years. I've been only doing this for a year. And I wonder if there's a piece of advice that you would give for anybody who is starting out on their journey in this type of work. Any something that you wish that you'd known or, you know,
So, yeah, the things I would say would be to have an open mind and really believe that anything is possible because anything is possible. Really, anything is possible. But if you don't believe it's possible, how are you ever going to create it, right? How are you ever going to create it? So just really keep an open mind and don't ever think that you know everything. I mean, the longer I'm on this path, the more I know that I don't know. The more it's like the human mind can't really comprehend the full structure of the nature of consciousness and reality and how everything is woven together. The other thing I would say would be to play more and not take it quite so seriously because first of all, angels and spirit beings love laughter. They love to play. They love that lightness. It's so much easier for them to come through than being so serious all the time. It's good for your soul. Follow the breadcrumbs, what you love to do.
that's beautiful advice. I love the playfulness. Yeah, and I feel the same thing. They're quite funny actually. I get a lot of clapping and there's bowing and there's also they say the funniest things. And it's certainly that the way that I like to work with clients is to use a lot of humor to help clear the darkness or what's no longer
Yeah.
serving them. It's not
Yeah.
necessarily dark. It's not helping them anymore. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
beautiful advice. I think you're right. I think the curiosity is never ending, isn't it? So people have to tune into your podcast because you've got some amazing guests on there. And that will
I
all
do.
you do.
I
And
really do. I'm like amazed at some of the amazing conversations I've had with people I probably never would have met. It's just amazing.
yeah, incredible. So that'll all be in the show notes below. And so click on that, subscribe, comment, like. We all like that because it helps build the algorithms to help Linda's show get a bit more, and of course our show as well. And I'm very excited for people to be able to contact you. I'm excited for be able to share your contact details to all my friends in Ottawa. This is really brilliant to have somebody local, and we'll get to meet in person. I think not sure when I'm there in a month. Yeah.
That'll be great fun.
Yes. Okay. Thank you so much for taking your time out today and speaking with us.
Thank you so much for having me, Peggy.
Wonderful. Thank you.